in October and then 2 further years in the spring next year.
But if you say no austerity, that's surely what it means.
Well, there will be no real terms cuts to Britain, so there'll be no return to austerity.
So does that
but we've got to grow our economy if we're going to review. We are doing the 1 year for next financial year.
Meet Sarah, a single mum from Manchester. She voted for change, hoping for a brighter future. Now she's facing higher taxes and cuts to essential services. Sarah's story is not unique. It's the reality for millions across Britain. In this video, we'll share the heartbreaking tales of ordinary people caught in the crossfire of Rachel Reeves's economic policies. Prepare to be moved and outraged by the human cost of political decisions. Picture this: Rachel Reeves, our supposed economic savior, suddenly drops a $22 billion bombshell on the British public.
And our financial stability, there were decisions that I had to make yesterday to get our public finances and public spend to the financial year. That is a situation that I inherited. And it has meant that I've had to make incredibly difficult decisions. Not decisions I wanted to make, but to preserve our economic stability.
Wide-eyed and seemingly shocked, she claims to have inherited this massive deficit from the previous government. But hold on a minute, doesn't something smell fishy here? Let's take a closer look at Reeves' background. As an economist, she's no stranger to financial complexities. So why didn't she uncover this fiscal black hole earlier? It's not like she just stumbled into the job yesterday. The timing of this revelation is suspiciously convenient, isn't it?
And to local authorities who are struggling with this right now.
Michelle, local authorities did not have the money to be able to take forward this because the government had not allocated any money for it.
I know,
and
but it's a good and it's £1 billion. So overall public spending is what, something like £1,000 billion a year? It's £1 billion, and it would make an intense difference to individuals and families. An important thing, isn't it? I think you accept that, don't you?
I do.
In your manifesto, it says we're going to have a national care service, and you couldn't find £1 billion.
Critics have been quick to point out the oddity of this situation. If this deficit was such a monumental issue, why wasn't it flagged immediately when Reeves took office? It's as if she's pulled this $22 billion rabbit out of her hat just when she needed an excuse for her controversial policy decisions. But what if the $22 billion figure isn't the full story? What if it's just a smokescreen for something even more alarming? Let's consider the scrapped $86,000 social care cap, a move that's been described as nothing short of a betrayal of vulnerable families across Britain. This decision has left millions exposed to significant financial risks, particularly the elderly and those with chronic conditions. Advocacy groups are up in arms, and rightly so. Families are now forced to deplete their savings or sell their homes to afford care for their loved ones. Whatever happened to Reeves's promises to safeguard living standards? Reeves maintains that scrapping the social care cap was unavoidable due to the fiscal challenges she inherited. But many see this as a blatant lack of accountability. It's as if she's saying, "Sorry folks, I'd love to help, but my hands are tied by this mysterious deficit I've just discovered." The public's skepticism is growing by the day as Reeves pushes forward with policies that seem to disproportionately affect those already struggling, like pensioners losing winter fuel payments. More and more people are questioning her motives and her competence. Is Rachel Reeves really the economic mastermind she claims to be? Or is she just another politician adept at shifting blame and breaking promises? As we peel back the layers of her economic strategy, a troubling pattern emerges. The $22 billion bombshell might just be the tip of the iceberg in Reeves' questionable financial maneuvers. Buckle up, folks. This economic roller coaster is far from over. Remember when Rachel Reeves promised no new taxes? Well, it seems her memory is as fleeting as her fiscal planning. As we dig into Reeves's pre-election commitments, a stark contrast emerges between her words and actions. The Chancellor's recent budget announcements have left many Brits feeling betrayed and wondering if they've been sold a bill of goods. Reeves's grand promises of fiscal responsibility and protecting the working class have crumbled faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. The Institute for Fiscal Studies has revealed that Reeves needs to find an eye-watering $25 billion just to keep public spending afloat. But wait, There's more. Reeves herself has hinted that the actual gap might be closer to a staggering $50 billion when you factor in all the fiscal pressures she inherited. It's like watching a magician pull an endless stream of handkerchiefs from their sleeve, except these handkerchiefs are made of taxpayer money. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Employer national insurance increases. Experts are sounding the alarm, warning that this move could put the brakes on hiring and squeeze long-term wages. It's as if Reeves is playing a game of economic Jenga, pulling out crucial blocks and hoping the whole tower doesn't come crashing down. But who will be left to pick up the pieces when it inevitably does? Certainly not Reeves and her cronies. And what about those changes to non-domicile taxation rules? Sure, they might bring in some extra cash, but at what cost? There are legitimate fears that this could scare off investment in the UK faster than Keir Starmer at a pub quiz night. It's a classic case of robbing Peter to pay Paul, except in this scenario, Peter might just pack up and leave the country altogether. The British public's trust in Reeves is eroding faster than a sandcastle at high tide. Many feel her policies are so out of touch with reality they might as well have been drafted on Mars. With living costs skyrocketing and essential benefits facing the chopping block, Reeves' claim that those with the broadest shoulders will bear the largest burden rings hollow. It's like she's playing Robin Hood in reverse, taking from the poor to give to the rich. As we peel back the layers of Reeves' economic strategy, a troubling pattern emerges. It's not just about broken promises or fiscal incompetence. It's about a fundamental disconnect between those in power and the people they're meant to serve. The question on everyone's lips now is what other tax hikes are lurking in the shadows of Reeves' budget? And more importantly, how much more can the British public take before they say enough is enough? Rachel Reeves's economic policies are starting to look like a magic show gone wrong. Instead of pulling rabbits out of hats, she's pulling the wool over our eyes. The $22 billion deficit, the scrapped social care cap, and the rising taxes. It's all starting to feel less like financial prudence and more like political sleight of hand. But here's the thing. The British public isn't a passive audience. We're not here to applaud as Reeves performs her fiscal acrobatics. We deserve more than convenient excuses and broken promises. We need transparency, honesty, and a chancellor who doesn't treat our wallets like her personal piggy bank. As Reeves continues to shape Britain's economic future, we can't afford to sit back and watch. It's time to demand accountability. After all, isn't that what democracy is all about? While Reeves juggles numbers and excuses, families like Sarah's in Manchester are left wondering how they'll make ends meet. The real question is, how long will we let this economic circus continue?